Hi everyone, this is Rambutan here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about chronic pain. Today I want to talk about fibromyalgia, or at least what fibromyalgia has meant in my life. Because I have been living with chronic pain for almost 11 years now. And even saying that sentence feels strange because 11 years is a whole life inside pain, a whole personality, partly made by the fact that your body is never fully at ease. My back hurts all the time. From my neck to the bottom of my tailbone, there is some version of pain sitting inside me. Sometimes it's very sharp, like my muscles are refusing to relax. Sometimes it feels like an earthquake is happening inside my spine, especially when I lie down. Sometimes it feels like my whole body has run a marathon, even though I have not done anything except exist. And I know that sounds dramatic, but chronic pain is dramatic in a very boring way. I wish it were where something terrible happens and everyone gathers around you and there is an emergency and there is a very visible wound and people know what to do. But it is not like that. It is dramatic like a background music that never stops playing. The thing with chronic pain is it is there when you wake up, it is there when you sleep, it is there between your sleep, it is there when you brush your teeth, when you sit, when you travel to work, when you meet friends. And the thing with this kind of chronic pain, I would like to call it background music, is that at first you think you will get used to it. You think one day the mind will adjust, one day the body will stop noticing it, one day the pain will become just normal enough that you can just live your life around it without thinking too much. But chronic pain does not work like that. You simply learn to keep living while it keeps playing this background chronic pain music. And the biggest problem is with the pain, a large part of your brain is always occupied by it. I sometimes feel like 70% of my brain is constantly taken by pain. Every single plan has to pass through the pain first. Can I sit here? Will there be a chair? Will the chair have back support? Is there a space to lie down if it gets too much? How long is the travel? Will there be traffic? Can I sleep on that bed? Can I attend this event? Can I work today? Can I go to office today? So many questions every single moment of your life. What I don't think a lot of people realize is that with chronic pain, your whole day becomes a negotiation with pain. Your whole life then becomes about memory foam chairs, cushions, standing desk, about hot water bags, about pain balms and medicines, cancellation of plans and awkward requests and explanations you are tired of giving, and an almost constant scanning of your body to see how bad the day is going to be. You protect yourself from your own body, and that is super exhausting. So I will start from the beginning, how the pain started, how it got worse, and how I am managing it now. I had occasional back pain when I was younger, and at that time I thought, and even the doctors thought, that maybe these were just occasional growing pains or minor pains that would come and go. I remember having back pain even in the first year of my bachelor's in my college, maybe for half a day or something, but I discounted it. Because when you are young, you think pain is temporary, that nothing permanent can happen to you. But in my second year of college, around 2015, I was going through a very hard breakup. I had failed a poetry paper in my English course. I was having a very difficult time with my family and I was emotionally in a very bad place. And during my December vacation in Kerala at my home, I was just locked inside my room all day, playing video games all day and all night, sitting on my floor and keeping the laptop on the floor and bending my body in such terrible positions, playing and playing and playing video games. I did not want to feel anything. And then one day in December, while I was playing this video game, I remember feeling something in my backbone, a crack like feeling, like something inside the back had moved. And from that day onwards, the pain started. At first, I thought it would go away. For the first 2 or 3 days, I thought, oh, this is bad, but it will pass. I lay on my bed and cried because the pain was so severe. And I tried massaging, I tried oils, I tried medicines, whatever I could think of, but the pain would not go. A week passed and the pain did not go. Vacation ended and I had to return to college. And I returned in such severe pain that I could not even attend classes properly. I had to literally bunk classes because getting out of the bed itself felt impossible. And my roommate would come back from class and see me in these strange positions on the bed, sometimes on all fours like a zombie, because even lying down was painful. And I was trying to find one position where the body would stop attacking me. But there was no such position because every part of your body is more or less connected to the spine, and every movement moved your spine. Sitting hurt, standing hurt, laying down hurt, just existing started hurting. By the end of January, I was done. I finally went to the hospital. Doctors examined me. They could not find anything obvious at first through, X-rays, through MRI. Even in the MRI, they could not find any major structural explanation for the level of pain I was describing. And eventually, one of the diagnoses given to me was fibromyalgia. And that moment, when you get a word for your pain, there is a lot of relief. Okay, maybe I'm not imagining this. Maybe there is a name for what has been happening to me. Maybe other people also have gone through this, and maybe there are doctors and therapies and explanations that would help me. A diagnosis at that time, especially for so much of pain, feels like a small lamp in a dark hospital corridor. But then the relief turns into another kind of heaviness. You realize that being diagnosed does not mean the pain will now leave. Realize that there is no blood test that can help you. There is no one medicine that switches off the pain. There is no one specialist who can say, here is the root cause, this is the solution, take this and your life will return. And for many years, because doctors could not find one simple structural cause for the pain, fibromyalgia felt to me like the name given to the pain that nobody could fully explain. And during that time, I started getting major issues, especially with brain fog. I started getting pain in my joints. My IBS had flared up almost every day. And I was waking up every hour or so in pain during sleep. Fibromyalgia is generally recognized as a type of chronic pain condition involving widespread pain, including fatigue, sleep problems, cognitive difficulties, and much more heightened pain sensitivity. But as a patient moving from one doctor to another, one specialist to another, one MRI to another MRI, with the pain nobody could neatly locate or remove, it felt like I had been given a word and then left to live inside it. And that is a very lonely thing. Over the years, I've seen so many doctors, I've taken so many painkillers, I've tried medicines, I've tried therapies, I have tried exercises, physiotherapy, different ways of sleeping, different ways of sitting, different ways of surviving. At one point, I felt like I was eating medicines like rice, fistfuls of tablets, swallowing them in desperation, hoping that somewhere in this pile of prescriptions there would be a doorway out of pain. But many of these medicines triggered my IBS, my stomach would hurt so much, and still the back pain remained. Nothing changed with the back pain. And I think this is one of the most cruelest thing about chronic illness. Sometimes the treatment also becomes another thing you have to survive. You are already in so much pain, you are crying in the bed all day, then the medicines that you take create so much of stomach pain, so much of headache, and so much of side effect. And then you're stuck in this humiliating loop where you're trying to treat one suffering without creating three more. What helped me and what continues to help me is some kind of movement, some kind of light stretching helps. A little exercise when I can do it helps sometimes. Some forms of body work and careful movement can give relief, but the relief is often temporary, maybe half an hour, but then the pain comes back with so much of force. And when pain always comes back, you stop trusting relief completely. Even on a good day, some part of you is waiting. You are waiting for the pain to return. Because it always does. That is what chronic pain does to hope. It makes you cautious even about feeling better. And I have tried to explain this to others. It is so difficult to explain to others who has not lived it. Because from the outside, I can look fine. I can laugh. I can make these videos. I can talk about politics. I can appear normal. And that is the problem with invisible disability. People cannot see the war inside that is going on inside your body. They cannot see the calculation behind my every action. They cannot see how much planning goes into something as simple as traveling somewhere. It is so difficult because you are smiling while your back is screaming. They cannot see that after a social event, you may collapse for hours. And because others cannot see it, they sometimes do not believe it fully. Think about it. If you have a fracture, people will understand. If you have a bandage and if you are bleeding, people will understand. But if you are standing there speaking normally, looking normal and saying that I'm in severe pain, people do not know where to put that information, what to do with it. So they either minimize it, they motivational quote it, or assume that if you're still functioning, it cannot be that bad, right? But I want able-bodied people to know that the truth is that many disabled and chronically ill people are not functioning because they are fine. They are functioning because they have no choice. Every moment through their life, they are navigating through pain and fatigue and fear so much. They're functioning because the world does not stop just because your body is hurting. And one of the worst things about chronic pain is how it affects relationships. It affects work, travel, love, how spontaneous you can be. Because people can make plans casually, but I have to think of the chair, the commute, the timing, the pain flare the next day, the possibility that I may have to cancel, the guilt of canceling, the embarrassment of explaining, and the fear that people will eventually stop asking because being with me requires too much adjustment. In a lot of way, chronic pain shrinks your world very slowly. First, you stop doing difficult things. Then you realize that the pain has not only taken away your activities, but it has taken away your confidence. Chronic pain takes away this assumption that your body will cooperate with your desires. In classrooms during my bachelor's and master's, even sitting for half an hour could become so painful in class. The kind of pain, it becomes shame because everyone else seemed to be sitting normally, writing normally, listening to lectures normally, while you are shifting your body every 5 minutes, trying not to make it obvious that you are struggling. And workspace can be even harder. I still remember this moment where I felt really humiliated. I was having severe back pain and I asked my manager if there was any accommodation possible somewhere I could lie down for 10 minutes, for half an hour. Even a sofa would have helped just to let my spine rest so that I could continue working. And my manager responded. He said, "You can go lie down on the floor in the production room." It felt so humiliating. I remember feeling my voice get stuck in my throat. I remember feeling like my need had been turned to something unreasonable, something dirty. Like if my body required rest, then the floor was where that body belonged. And that is the thing about accommodations. On paper, they sound simple, a place to rest, a break, or work from home, or flexible timing. But in real life, when you ask for them, you are often made to feel like you're asking for some kind of special treatment, like you're trying to escape work, or your body is an inconvenience to the system. I want to say this here that accommodations are not special favors. When someone with chronic pain, when someone asks to lie down, they are not asking for luxury. When they are asking from work from home, they are not trying to automatically slack off. They are asking for minimum conditions to function properly. They are asking for a chance to be included without destroying themselves. For me, this is also connected to my neurodivergence. I do not want to separate my body and mind into neat categories because they do not live separately inside me. My neurodivergence means that the sensory output can already be intense, bright lights and loud sounds and very strong smells and constant social interactions and unpredictable changes. All of this can take a lot from me. And fibromyalgia adds another layer to it because pain can make sensory sensitivity even sharper. Cognitive fog makes planning and remembering more difficult. Then everything begins to pile up. The body hurts, so the mind becomes tired. The mind is tired, so the body feels heavier. The senses are constantly overloaded and stressed, though, so the pain feels sharper. Now, because the pain is sharper, the emotion becomes harder to regulate, so social interactions become more and more exhausting. And by the time you return to your home, to your room after masking throughout the day, you have no energy left except to crash and sleep. And even that sleep is not always restful. With chronic pain and neurodivergence together, it is sensory overload multiplying fatigue, fatigue multiplying brain fog, and brain fog multiplying shame, and shame multiplying isolation. For me, there are days when even brushing your teeth feels like an achievement. There are days when grocery shopping feels like a military operation. There are days when attending a social gathering requires so much of planning that by the time you reach, you are already tired. And probably the worst thing is that often you have no idea what exactly is going on with you. You are living inside a body that sends distress signals all the time, and you're expected to decode them while working, while studying, or while replying to messages, and pretending that you're a normal person with a normal body. With fibromyalgia, something called fibro fog comes on. It makes the brain feels like it is covered in cotton. You start forgetting things. You lose word. You struggle to concentrate. Sometimes you cannot do the most simplest of things. You sit in front of work and your brain just refuses to become available. It just goes offline. And for someone who thinks, writes a lot, brain fog feels terrifying. It feels like losing access to yourself. It feels like your mind is there but behind a curtain. When your body hurts every day and people do not understand it, when doctors cannot always help, when workplaces feel humiliating to you, and when your medicines hurt your stomach, you get tired a lot. Constantly you're pushing through your days. There is also this emotional difficulty of explaining pain repeatedly to doctors and friends and people who you love. And at some point you get tired of narrating your suffering. You get tired of saying my back hurts. You get tired of trying to make invisible pain socially visible. Even while talking about this now on the video, some part of my mind wants to shut down because remembering it is painful. It is actually painful because when I talk about chronic pain, I am not talking about something that has ended. That's something that has happened before. I'm talking about the room I'm still sitting in. I'm talking from inside the pain. With smoking, I can say I quit. With Vipassana or a job, I can say that I left. It is easier to tell a story after survival, but with chronic pain, there is no ending. There is no final scene where I defeat it. There is sometimes relief, there is sometimes hope, but there is no neat victory. And I think that is why chronic pain stories are hard for people to hear, because we like stories where suffering becomes meaningful, or where illness teaches you a lesson, where pain makes you stronger, where the disabled person becomes inspiring. But sometimes pain is just pain. Sometimes it does not make you any better. Sometimes it makes you boring or angry. It makes you irritable. Sometimes it makes you jealous of people who can sit anywhere, travel anywhere, work anywhere without thinking about their spine. I do not want to say this made me who I am, as if this makes this suffering acceptable. What I can say is that chronic pain taught me to understand body politically. It taught me that disability is not about the body, but also the world refusing to make space for different bodies. A body that needs to lie down is not the problem by itself. A workplace with no place to rest is also the problem. A body that cannot sit for long is not problem by itself. A classroom that assumes that everyone can sit upright for hours is also the problem. A productivity system that sees weakness is also the problem. That's why I keep saying that chronic pain is disabling. It is disability because it changes how you move through the world, how you work or plan, how you love. And when we ask for accommodation, we are not asking to be pitied, we are asking to be believed. That is the smallest thing. Believe us. Believe that the pain is real even when you cannot see it. We are not asking for the world to stop. We are asking the world to stop pretending that only one kind of body exists. To be in a daily negotiation with a body that hurts. To be in a world that does not always believe in invisible suffering. To be in a life where the smallest of kindness, where the smallest accommodation, the smallest act of being believed can make things just a little easier to bear is the life a lot of people are living. And maybe that is all I want to say in the end, that our request may not be unreasonable, that we are asking for a chance to live, to contribute, to be included, to be not be punished for having bodies that need care, a chance to exist without constantly apologizing for the pain that we did not choose.